What is up, guys? Thank you for, you guys are either the true builders or the true degens or something. There's got to be some motive you're still here, but thank you so much. We have a really, really cool panel. Web3 gaming is one of these things that I think has kind of been on the radar as something that can really start to get mass adoption in Web3, getting people moving into becoming familiar with NFTs or cryptocurrencies. And it's such a wide audience that there's a ton of opportunity, and I think what we want to do is unpack a lot of that today. Let's start with some intros. I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself, if you guys can, in just a minute or so. Introduce yourself, your project, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Thanks for the introduction, my friend. That was beautiful. So hello, everybody. My name is Simon. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Mixmob. We are a Solana game and platform. Picture Mario Kart meets Clash Royale. So the best of skill with the best of cards and luck. And that's our first game. The story of our game revolves around one premise, which is, what would you do if an AI deleted our entire culture? And in the story of our game, a bunch of crypto hackers went underground, started a revolution against the AI, built these robots to fight it, but before they fight it, they race. So that's why it's a robot race card strategy game. And I'm really excited to be here to tell you more about it. We are in incentivized beta, so go check it out, mixmob.io. And yeah, pumped to collab with all of you guys. So thank you for having me.
Sure.
Well, thanks. Hey, guys, I'm Justin. Justin Barr, Honeyland. We're a play-and-own game available in iOS and Android, approved in all app stores. You manage a swarm of bees. You get honey, which is our token, HXD. You can download it from honey.land. My background's all mobile user acquisition. So I've worked with companies like Zynga, Gree, Machine Zone, Uber, generating them millions of downloads. And so I think it's a perfect thing to have a mobile game in Web3 to introduce millions of people with the ability that me and my team have to generate users. Thanks.
GM, everybody. I'm Tomuka Swan, founder of Zen Republic, games and entertainment studio experimenting in Web3. We have a small team, me, my sister, and my girlfriend. So we have a very great relationship, working together towards the common goal of getting somewhere. The main goal for us is to be able to tell a story and have fun and try not to get a job. We just want to somehow to survive and be able to entertain. So that's what we do. We keep on participating in different hackathons, making games, failing, getting up, and moving forward.
I'm DFL Irving, co-founder and the team lead at DeFiLand. DeFiLand is actually the first ever game to launch on Solana, and we've been building since 2021. The idea of DeFiLand has been to actually gamify DeFi, because like the yield farming and everything just kind of goes really well with the farming theme. So we just actually saw that why not to build a farming game around that. So we came up with that idea, we built that, we won the Solana hackathon, and unfortunately got linked up with FTX and Alameda. And then like a lot of bad and good stuff happened, but still today we are actually a team of 25, building really actively. We have 3 new titles coming around the DeFiLand, but also on Mighty Alpacas. And we have like really, really cool mobile and web games coming, and yeah, we'd love to dive into those stuff. And also our experience with 2021, 2022, and now 2023 on Solana. So yeah, really excited to be here.
Cool, thanks. And just kind of one note is that both Justin and Simon are late fill-ins. We actually had Evan from BR1 couldn't make it, and Albert from Genopets couldn't make it. And so thank you guys for stepping in and filling in. Surprise you guys with some good stuff. And all right, so I want to do a quick lightning round. I think it's really important to kind of understand each of these projects. So as we start to present answers, you can understand kind of where we're coming from, what the size and scope of the team and project is. So I'm going to give a lightning round of just kind of, we'll go through these one word, one sentence each. First off, we've got a really global panel here. So tell me where you guys are from as the first question.
Okay. So I'm originally from Colombia.
Just tell me where you live right now. Oh, okay, got it, yeah.
But I got to tell you a little bit of that story.
But we need lightning round.
That's right. And then I'm based in Canada, Vancouver, Canada.
Cool.
I live in Puerto Rico.
Lithuania.
Georgia.
All right, awesome. Are you a founder of your project?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Great. When did you first start building your project on Solana, the month and year?
December 2021.
November 2021.
2022, I would say 2021, September.
January 2021.
Cool. What's your current team size?
20 full-time.
40-ish.
4.
20 digits.
Cool. One-word sentence to best describe your game status. Demo, private beta, public beta, live, it's complicated, any of that works.
Incentivized beta.
I'd say live.
It's complicated.
Live as well.
Your daily active users, monthly active users, or community size, whatever you guys want to use to kind of give us a size of the community.
15,000 monthly active users. We just reached that last month. Super pumped.
Cool, yeah, we're about 4,500 daily active users right now.
When we release something, we get a couple hundred and then back to 0.
Awesome. We're around 2,000 active users, but not the wallets. So like from Google Analytics, like the users coming from the devices.
Cool. Have you raised money, and if so, how much?
Yes. Our seed round was 7.5 million, and our NFT round was, at the time, 2 million.
Cool, yeah, we've raised about $3 million.
We have raised around 50K back in 2021 with VCs that didn't work out. We separated. I said I want to try it on my own.
Yeah, we've done 4.5 million as well, but unfortunately with FTX and Alameda leading the round. So yeah, that's not really great.
We'll talk a little bit more about that and what you learned from that later on. Do you have a live token?
Yes. Soulbound, though.
Cool.
Yeah, we do. It's called HXD, and you should go buy some.
We have Zenny tokens.
We have DFL and Goldie tokens as well live already.
Cool. And then the last question in lightning round, and you can expand a little bit if you want, but do you have any live NFT collections? If so, tell us in 60 seconds or so kind of what they do, what we can know about those collections.
Yes, absolutely. We have our Gen 0 collection. You can buy it in Magic Eden. It's the start of our story, which is the mask to protect us against the AI. And then we have our robots, which are the cars that you race in the game. And those are coming very soon. So a bit of alpha coming to all of you. But yeah, so 2 NFT collections.
Yeah, all of our collections are playable in-game. We've got land, and then we have a whole bunch of bees and eggs that you can hatch into bees, all available on Magic Eden. And they all have different traits and whatnot, and that's part of the strategy of the game.
We do have a collection live, 720 Rubians, and they are a hype project. If you just buy, you're probably going to become rich if you just follow the vision. And to make it very difficult for people to want to invest, I've made the NFTs programmable with enforced royalties, and the royalties now sit at 42%. If you buy it, you don't sell it because you're going to lose a lot. So this thing allows me to have a collection open for minting for as long as I want. When I close the mint, royalties down, and let's go to the moon. And also we have one more collection of very cheap NFTs, which they cost like 0.2 or something, but I keep on adding whatever new game I make, I try to integrate them to be able to claim, people would be able to claim and collect. So something that we can offer as incentives whenever we release something.
We have several collections as well. We have Gen 0 NFTs, which came in 2021, and we have several more as well. I'm not going to dive into details, but everything is basically in-game utility NFTs. You can play the game, you can actually interact with them, rebuild, do a bunch of forging, fusion. We have a lot of utilities for that, and we have new PFP collection that launched several months ago, the Almighty Alpaca NFT. That we are building several games around that as well. So yeah, everything is 4 NFT collections are now live around our game.
Cool. Hopefully that was a quick download of all of these projects and kind of what the background is and what they bring to kind of just the Web3 gaming ecosystem and some of what's going to form their perspectives around this. So, all right, the first question that I want to pitch out there, and anybody can kind of jump in on this, what problems do you think Web3 gaming solves that exist in Web 2, or what does Web 3 gaming unlock that doesn't exist in Web 2? Why do we need Web 3 gaming?
So I can go first.
Yeah, sure.
I'll be quick. So for us, for Mixmob, so my background is I've been building games for 15 years, worked at Electronic Arts, Poker Stars, Disney, and so with my background in poker, one of the biggest pains that we have in Web 2 is when you play a tournament that involves real money gaming. You have to, when you win, you have to go through all these layers to get your money back. And Web3 shows that in a beautiful way because it's a decentralized, decentralized by nature. You don't have to wait for third parties to get your money. So the way we integrate that into Mixmob is when you raise in our arenas, you're actually going kind of like into a real crypto battle where you put some crypto down, you raise against your opponent, and whoever wins gets that money back. So it solves that issue for us. And then the second part, just to add to that, is it solves the idea of owning a league. And when you look at soccer and what's going on with all the leagues around the world, they're really opaque. There's a lot of stuff going around, in the background of these leagues. But for us, with crypto, it solves that. So the way our token works, and our main token is, you unlock league voting rights and privileges, so you can vote on the prize pools, you can vote on where the next tournament is going to go. And so in essence, in summary, those two things is the crypto competing for real crypto or real assets component, and the league voting rights. Those are the two things for us.
I would like to say a couple things. One thing that I really like about Web3 gaming is that it's a kind of global database. What I really like that you can use one item from one game in somewhere else. So I really like this concept of a whole database, every game being able to, if you want to integrate, right? It's so easy to integrate. You don't need to get assets from somebody, right? You just say, yeah, sure, I whitelist your collection. Now your items are going to be in mine, right? Very easy to collaborate and move items around. And there's one more thing. I had two things I wanted to say, but I forgot. So let's move on. Cool. Oh, I remember. So especially this is why one of the main reasons I chose Solana is because of the quick hash rate. It can, the block hash, 400 milliseconds. There's no, the complicated stuff. I just know it's very fast, right? So theoretically, with some lag compensation and everything, you can have a fully real-time FPS shooter fully on-chain. That means if the database is on-chain, if server is on-chain, the game can live forever without any additional cost. That means small teams can make some MMO, introduce tokens, introduce NFTs, do real-time. Everything just relies on one tool, or just in this instance, blockchain. So I think this will allow smaller teams to bring big ideas to reality faster. My 2 cents.
We saw, for those of you who've been here for a little while, saw Davis from GameShift on stage a while ago too. They're doing with Solana Labs, a lot of really, really cool tools to take advantage of what you're talking about there, Tomas, which is just kind of the ability to quickly stand up and build games through a very decentralized set of infrastructure. Erwin, Justin?
Yeah, I guess the ownership is something definitely that makes sense. And just kind of having let's say I have spent hundreds of dollars in the League of Legends or the CSGO or those games, and I have those assets in the game that are locked forever there. I cannot trade. In the Steam market I can do, but there are a lot of fees. You cannot actually just do a bunch of stuff with that, but especially in Riot games, you have so many games that are so cool, but you have those assets you cannot interact with. But if you could just trade, or maybe let's say use your League of Legends skin in TFT skin, let's say, or you can just take that character and just play with that in different games, and so on. They will be so much cooler. And I believe whatever currently Web3 gaming is also lacking is a unity around the gaming teams. So let's say, why not to bring your bees in our game? Let's say, why not to bring our pets in your game, and so on. So kind of having those kind of things allow to get new users, but also to get really nice kind of cross-platform, cross-game ownerships, which I believe is the real main thing about the Web3 gaming. And in the Web2, you cannot do that, and no one is willing to do that. So I believe, and also I agree with everything you guys said as well, of course.
Cool. Yeah. A lot of times people talk about that Web3 brings this idea of true ownership, which has always kind of baffled me, because when you're in League of Legends or you're in any of these other games, you actually own the items. You just don't custody the items. And I think one of the things that Web3 unlocks is the ability to custody the items. And when you custody it, it means you can start to trade it and sell it and move it. And you actually, I think that's one of the big things that kind of oftentimes gets, what I would say misinterpreted, is this idea that we own items. You actually own your items in a game. You get to log into your account and use them as an owner of them. But the custody starts to open up a lot of different ways that we can play the game with player-to-player experiences that exist that don't exist in that same way in Web 2. Justin, do you have something? Sorry.
I think with those, it opens up new experiences that ultimately create gamers out of people that weren't originally gamers. So for instance, in Honeyland, you can own land. That land, once you own, the bees pay you a commission, they pay fees to hunt and harvest on that land. And as a landowner, you got to go in once in a while and clean up the land and make sure it's nice and ideal for bees to come and incentivize them to come and hunt and harvest more. But it turns people who would otherwise not play games into a new form of gamer that's low, doesn't require a lot of activity, but gets them playing games. And for me, building audiences and player bases, I want as many people as possible to find some value in our game. And so, yeah, this play and own, play and earn mechanism activates people, new people into the gamer sort of identity.
Awesome. Let's kind of flip the script on that. What's broken about Web3 gaming right now? Like, what do we need to fix in Web3 gaming to truly start to get mass adoption where people stop asking the question, why do we need Web3? Web2 is pretty good, right? What are the things that we need to do or fix or solve that you guys are working on right now? And again, anybody take that. Go ahead, Erwin.
Okay. So yeah, basically, I believe there are a bunch of reasons for sure there, but I'm gonna name several that I think are really crucial there. So I believe like going in 2021, 2020 as well, like everyone was trying to hop on the trend, like play to earn, let's say. Unfortunately, we did the same as well. Like having those, like as you are on a trend, everyone is kind of investing in you, we start throwing in the money, so you're just trying to just build like this not really sustainable things that will just overhype you, but then like it has a huge damage for your brand, for the industry as well, as like the prices are coming down and all this stuff. So like trying, first of all, not to try to just go for the hype, but actually go for the gameplay, where you have to first build the gameplay that is actually fun as a Web2 game. Because if it's a game that people would not play if it was a Web2 game, then it should never be a Web3 game. That's what I think. And then as the game is like that, then you can add the Web3 elements, of course, like transactions or the ownerships and everything is really vital. That's the thing, I guess, that the teams that are not going for the gameplay first are really doing a bad thing. But also like launching the token first and launching the NFTs first, while it could be nice to get some traction, get some community, it also has it's double-edged sword, definitely, because it brings a lot of responsibilities, a lot of people that are waiting for the new news or the new kind of prices to go up all the time, and it's really stressful as well. So kind of try to not to launch token really fast. That's like my advice, because try to figure out why do you need the token first and then launch it. Because like whenever the token is out, you already are the slave of the token. Like you cannot really be free. You just actually have to follow a lot of different financial things as well, and you're not that free to build the game that you wish you wanted. So that's like from my personal experience. I believe there are a bunch of different regions as well, but I guess you guys can cover that as well.
I would like to say that I've been doing some streaming, of Web3 games. So I was thinking, it will be a nice opportunity for me to get cultured. Instead of just making games, I need to see what's out there and play them. And after playing some Web3 games, I moved on to Twitch. Oh, it's not Twitch, itch.io, where there's like indie games, right? I infinitely love them better than any Web3 game that I played. I just felt the game has love. Any game that was like made during the game jam, 2 days, there's so many fun games, 10-minute experiences, which like touch you personally, right? It feels like some piece of art, some feelings were put out into that game. So I think this is what we don't have here in Web3. By focusing on tokenomics, on NFT integration, that's a whole lot of work to just take care of that. And when you're thinking of it, your mind turns into thinking of business and money and tokens, and then you lose that love, So I think we should actually not go on-chain on-chain gaming. Well, of course, there needs to be like some big-brain people who actually go to do the on-chain, draw the path for the rest of us after the years pass. But we should mostly focus on getting rid of the tokenomics of NFTs in game and only use them as like incentive or maybe instead of marketing. That means maybe you have a game which doesn't have, instead of ads, there's NFTs. You're maybe walking through some dungeon, open up a chest, and boom, opens up some, you get whitelist to buy this NFT somewhere, right? And if you haven't logged in with a wallet, you cannot claim it. You just move past. If you have logged in, sure, claim it. That shouldn't affect the gameplay. It should be like interactive ads. So I think this is where we should start. This will be, this way we could have more Web2 people join in.
You talked a little bit about tokens, and I'll open it up to some of the other panelists. We've all launched a token to some extent within each of these projects. When should a game launch a token, and what are some of the things that you could share in terms of like things that you got right or things that you got wrong that you may do differently if you had to do all over again? Simon.
Yeah, so from our side, this is what worked for us. So I'll share some of the knowledge that we got. So we launched our NFT collection, which is also kind of like a formal token, to validate our IP and our story and build our community. And we did that with the idea of the game. Now, we come from games, so we knew we were going to have a solid game. We wanted to bring a lot of innovation into the space. The way we did it, though, is we launched the NFT collection to validate that and build the community. And from that, we got this amazing community full of people that truly believe in the project, truly believe in what we're building. And in fact, we're here today with some of our community members. They decided to come. They wanted to come support the project. And shout out to all of you guys. So that was our strategy. Then we sold out the collection. And you can do it in many different ways, right? But it creates that community. Then we launched our game, the first part of the game, to that community, NFT gated, and they gave us beautiful feedback. And with that feedback, we've been evolving our game for 2 years. So that's the way we did it. And the second part is we launched our token, like our actually currency, in-game currency, as a soul-bound token. What that means is it's in the blockchain. Players can actually interact with the game with that token, but they cannot send it. So I cannot send the token to you, for example, or to you guys. It's just between me and the game. And what that did for us is it helped us validate our economy and the strategy of how everything was going to be balanced. So if I were to do it again, I would probably do it the same way. And the actual main token, we're going to launch that in December. So picture this. We launched our NFT to validate the IP. We gated the first rough prototypes of the game to that community. They gave us beautiful feedback. We've been building. Right now, we're in incentivized beta, where we're basically rewarding the community that's been building for us, with us forever, for those 2 years, with the token. So they have this incentive to come, give us more feedback, so we can launch a token at the end of the year. So that's our gameplay. I will do it the same way. That's the way it worked for us. And that would be my advice.
Cool. Or when you guys, go ahead, Justin.
I would say launch a token when you have utility, immediate utility for the token. It's really hard, whether it's an NFT or a token, to sustain whatever price you're trying to sustain if you don't have an actual use, an actual utility for it. We launched probably a little early, but similar to Simon, our community, it helped develop a community that has been phenomenal in helping us iterate and just give us ideas and feedback that we've also used to make a better, stronger game.
Cool, yeah. Erwin, I was going to say, you guys were really early in building and DeFi and tokens. What can you share, and you've probably seen quite a few changes over the time as well. What can you share about launching a token?
Yeah, so we launched the token. So regards, 100% agree that having a token, launching a token or NFTs definitely get you the users who are really passionate about your game or the NFT visuals or the tokenomics or whatever. And today we have still in Discord or in Telegram groups, we have so many passionate people actually just being so active, and because of the NFTs and tokens, and that we are so grateful for them. But the thing is that it also brought a lot of negative people in our lives and in our development who were actually psychologically forcing us to do stuff because, let's say we launch a token and the price is kind of dropped, and then they are like, hey, we have to launch some new utility for this short moment to actually boost the price. And when everyone is DMing you, someone is posting you on Twitter, when someone is actually, then investors are pressing you about that as well, you actually become more concerned about the price that actually building the gameplay in long term, which actually will help your token to be more sustainable, but also more utilized as well. So we were actually a victim of that. It's actually our fault, I would say. The thing is that we were like in 2021, the bull market was starting, and like we were so much hyped. We had like the IEO and IDOs happening. Like we were, I believe, like 55 times oversubscribed on the Radium, and like a lot of crazy things happening. And then like we actually even managed to get FTX down because we had so much people like going and depositing our tokens in FTX to trade. And, like there were like crazy times. SBF tweeting about us that the DFLs crushed FTX. Like there were like, and we reached 4.5 billion valuation. Like that's like if you think about that, that's so crazy. That having a token actually being traded with hundreds of millions of the volume at 4.5 billion valuation, and then you had just started the project like 4-5 months ago. This was so crazy. Like everyone wants to partner with you. Like you are having the calls with celebrities, you're having calls with like the stars, and it's like it was a pretty crazy thing. But as we had this low circulating supply, high FTW, we didn't have any utility by that time. We didn't have a game out. We didn't have any of those things that we have now in circulation. That led us a lot of bad things happening. Then like we had FTX and Alameda farming our token. Then we had like the leverage farming of DFL. People get liquidated because of prices coming down. Then it actually cascading into the different liquidations. So a lot of different things happening. So I would say I would really recommend for the people who are actually launching a token, try to analyze why you are launching. If you're launching for just the hype, I would just 100% guarantee that it will be short-term hype, and you will 100% regret doing so. Because if you're already having a hype, if you just like take several months more and just launch then when you're ready, the hype might be a little bit less, but still people will be hyped, and also you already have the utility, you already have the product, you already have the things to showcase to the users, and then you will be way, way more sustainable than you are right now. So my advice, once again, will be to think why you are launching token, and if it makes sense for you, go for it for sure. But like, if I had this knowledge in 2021, I would definitely not launch that as well, this token, and would wait like at least mid of 2022 to launch things and have things figured out.
So it sounds like one of the themes that I've heard from a lot of kind of these answers here, not just to this question but others, is make sure that you are launching the Web3 components of your game because your game or project needs those Web3 components, not just because we should have a token or we should have an NFT or we should be on chain. And the second thing is get as much utility built up before you launch, as opposed to so that you're really, that the utility is pulling the token or the NFT into circulation as opposed to the other way around, right? Where the token is lagging to get some of utility for it, which becomes very difficult to sustain. On that, I want to shift very quickly just to like NFTs. By the way, we're going to get to fundraising, we're going to get to user acquisition, we're going to get to revenues, we're going to get to some really cool things in here as well. So I just want to kind of let you know where we're going. But just kind of going to NFTs, because every one of our projects has NFTs. Almost every Web3 game has NFTs. It's almost a meta that you're not a Web3 game if you don't have an NFT project. One of the unpopular opinions that I've kind of, or realizations that I've had over the last really month or so, is that most NFTs are this way that we can kind of generate revenues, build a community, but it's essentially selling a lifetime transferable membership that we have to service forever, but we never actually get paid on other than the original investment, right? And I think that's why we've seen so many rugs in the space, because at some point founders realize, when do I get to stop servicing this? The answer is never. And so if you don't have a revenue or monetization model behind it, then that becomes very challenging. I think games changes that quite a bit, because there's real utility in the NFT. The utility of the NFT can hopefully generate revenues and continue to generate future mints and certain things like that. When it comes to NFTs, is there anything just kind of, I asked that question about tokens. When should you launch a token into your game? And what have you learned that maybe we could share, either positive or negative, things that you got really right with your NFT mints or structure, or things that you may have gotten wrong? Is there anything that any of you, that jumps out to any of you that you want to share?
I can go real quick. From our side, the launch of the NFT was very strategic. So my advice is that, like, and you all nailed it, is just make sure that you have a strategy for it. The strategy for us at the time was to build that community and validate our IP. We were very transparent with the community. That's what we mentioned, right? That was like, hey, we're going to launch that. We're going to launch this NFT collection to kickstart our game, to validate our IP, and go from there. And because of that transparency and that constant communication with the community, you know what they told us? We were doing an AMA with the community, and they're like, we don't even look at the NFT like at the floor price, because we believe in what you guys are building so much that this is just part of us, having a moment in time of Mixmob starting. And so my advice is have a strategy, like everybody here said, just make sure that you know why you're doing that, and that can be in terms of utility or in terms of your strategic plan, and make sure that you're very transparent why you're launching that NFT, and give that NFT the love that it deserves. If you're building a really good game, like all of us here, you will see that game, that NFT plays a really important role in the game because it's digital collectibles, it's assets. So that's my main advice. Just have a plan and a strategy for it, and make sure you communicate transparently with your community.
I would say it's very important to have an NFT collection because it's like your Kickstarter, right? You should have something to sell. Mm-hmm. But I don't see that. I think that's a faulty way of doing it. Is having NFTs as playable characters, because I know people are going to get bored. Maybe they're going to even too lazy to sell the NFT because it got to such a low, let's say, floor price that they're just going to burn, right? What I'm trying to do right now is to think of the holders as helpers in shaping the world, let's say, of Zen Republic. So what I would like to think of is maybe some Arubians become like the characters in the game, but you don't need an NFT to access it. I'm thinking your holders need to be the ones who are voting, let's say, on the story elements. How are we going to call this character, right? Vote up. Maybe, let's say, hey, we want to make let's say a new little town in this city, right? We need some 3D modelers. We're gonna pay you like $100 for every house that you guys hold. Only holders are able to do it, right? You can then freelance, get some work from us, right? You can maybe get access to the job board. So instead of us needing to find some people to hire, we can say, hey, community members, would you like to have your imprint in this world? And only as a holder, you have this privilege of getting these offers. So that's what I'm trying to do, as you said, because if you get NFT sold once, this is your initial investment, and then what, right? So I want to have them as like the team, those are the ones who are the believers who want to build it alongside you. And then they have more power, and they don't rely on whether the game is good or not. It then depends on whether the game studio is good or not, and what am I doing with this NFT to help them if I care.
So we've talked a little bit about token sales as well as NFT mints. Both of these can be fundraising opportunities or to help kind of get projects off the ground, but that's not, I think kind of the general sentiment is that's a benefit or a bonus of these. It shouldn't be the sole purpose of these. But funding is a legitimate issue in Web3 gaming. We need money. Games take a while to get off the ground. And so if we set those two kind of mechanics aside and talk about a more traditional way, which is either in-game revenues or getting a project that's actually generating revenues, or generally ahead of time to get a project off the ground, some sort of fundraising. We heard from the last panel, kind of from the venture side of it, how they're approaching a lot of this stuff. Let's hear from the project side, because I think it's, you go through this and it's so exciting to get money that we're able to take in, and then you start to realize what that money does and what you need to do with that money and what the next problems that it leads to. And so let's just kind of take away like what from us, from all of us who have raised, what are the things that we've learned through raising? How would we approach it differently in the future? And this isn't about how do you get your next check. Really, it's more about as you're going out to fundraise, what are the things that we should be considerate of other than building the right pitch and finding, getting the money in and things like that? Just from like a project health standpoint, what can we learn about fundraising that may be helpful?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to go for this one because I believe we were the first to do the fundraising. And basically, just to kind of quick backstory as well, we started building the project as we thought it was a cool idea. Then there was a Solana hackathon, and we went there and we won the gaming track. And as we won the gaming track, like a lot of VCs just started to flow into our DMs, and like it was a crazy time by that time. So Solana was trading really low by that time as well, but still it was coming up in summer of 2021. So we were coming from a kind of startup industry. We were working on the computer vision, the augmented reality, and everything. Fundraising for the traditional startups were taking so long. In a meeting, having several different due diligence rounds, and just having calls and like so many different things. And we started to fundraise for DeFi. And then on the first call ever that we had, we already got that, hey, we want to invest like in just 15 minutes. And it was something like so shocking for us that someone is willing to invest in something that they just have learned into just 15 minutes. It was just really shocking. And like we have like every single day we have a new call and new guys are wanting to invest. And we were just taking everyone's money. Like that we have another VC, let's have them in. You have another just random VC from China, why not? Let's have them. And like we were taking everyone in. And like by the time we were realizing that it's so amazing, we're getting the money that we need for building the next stage of a DeFi land. And then when we got everyone money, we realized that like we have the money, but like let's say we have actually like several big funds who are interested. And I'm gonna say this publicly first time, we actually declined offer from Binance to invest. And we would have been the first ever project to do the IEO at the Binance from Solana. And we declined them because we thought that they were being greedy with the valuation and stuff. So like saying now it's really sounds really stupid from my side that we declined Binance, but we thought that some random Chinese fund would be the same as Binance, basically. So basically the first lesson is not take everyone's money. Do your due diligence. Doing your due diligence is way, way more important than VCs doing their due diligence. Mm-hmm. Because having a wrong VC in your round will ruin you for entirely. Like you're not just the one time, but actually every single month you would be just really upset that they are selling tokens or they are not communicating, they are not helping the way that they told they would. Like it's really bad. So just definitely do your due diligence and just try to learn from other founders who they have invested in or other funds, what they think of this fund. Because like everyone is saying that we're value-added VC, we're helping with everything, but actually what they do is like they just tell you that, hey, we're great, and they don't do anything else. That's a first thing. Additional thing is that definitely make sure that you do not try to just go really aggressive on the VCs. Just if you think that your game or the project is amazing, onboarding users is way, way harder actually than onboarding VCs. If the game is great, you will really easily onboard the VCs and the funds. So first make sure that you have a nice product that you want to actually raise funds for. And if it's true, just trust me, the investors will be really happy to invest, no matter if it's a bear market or the bull market. So just make sure that we do the right thing first, and then just go for VCs. And once you're ready, and once you have that, don't try to just go for like everyone and just kind of please everyone and just kind of go into everyone's thesis or whatsoever. Just try to find those one or two investors, and as long as you get the first investment, at least soft commitment, then those will introduce to the new funds, and those will introduce to new funds, and you can take the time to think if you want them in a round or not. So it's not really you should not really close the round as soon as possible. You can take the long time to do the fundraise. You can take like several months, maybe even a year to do the fundraise in several parts. Take your money if you need that too much, but then like do not take everyone's money. Try to kind of see if maybe in several months the multi-coin wants to join, maybe Binance wants to join, maybe Coinbase Ventures wants to join. So just make sure that you have some allocation for the better players who bring actual value, and then just gonna go for them. And having a lead investor is really important as well. And choosing the lead is basically like a marriage, as the multi-coin person has said this here before, because like the lead investor you have will be basically the pure reason if your project will be successful or not. So basically try to choose your lead investors the way that you would choose your wife, because like you should do due diligences, you should do like bunch of different stuff to learn actually all the details about them, like not just like how they invest in you and what they told you, but actually how they were in the previous relationships, basically like how they were with the investments that they have made previously. Are the founders happy with them or not? So just make sure that you do all the due diligence, and whenever you do that, then just go for that, because maybe in like several months there will be a huge bull market and everyone wants to invest in you. So please do not make the mistakes that we did, because yeah, you will regret that every single time. And like we had like some of the VCs who were like really passionate about us and telling us that you guys rock, we will be always with you. And every single time there was an unlock, they were like full market selling that without even communicating, when we were actually trying to buy the tokens ourselves. So like, just make sure you do your due diligence, and the money will come. As long as you're building a great product, and it's fun, the money will come, and that's not the problem. Yeah.
I think to add to that, just real quick, I 100% agree. And the strategy for us was threefold. So when we were talking to investors, our strategy was, can you help us with game design? Can you help us with tokenomics? Like, do you have some experience in that? And can we go out for a beer? Like, literally, that was a strategy that we came up with. And that really helped us, because then if you have like you said, like somebody just throwing money at you, you have a set of guidelines that you can set up. Like, okay, hey, what does your fund know about game design? What does your fund know about tokenomics? And do we like this person? Can we go out for a beer? So I think that's what I could add from that perspective. And just make sure that as you're taking the money, you are also thinking on the business side of things, how's your game going to make money? Because everybody's investing on you, like at least at a VC level, because they want a return. So how are you going to make money for your investors? How's your game? Think about that right from the beginning, and I think that will help you.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's challenging because some of this of be selective and do as much due diligence on your investors as they are doing on you assumes that you have options, and oftentimes we're trying to get money anywhere we can, right? And we don't have that luxury of being able to say no to somebody who may not be the perfect partner. But I think in the long run, those decisions are still always going to end up being the right decision. That if you have the wrong gut feeling, or if you don't feel like they're bringing something to the table that's significant, or if it doesn't feel right, I would really heavily encourage you to figure out a different way to get funding. I know that you've done, both of you guys have won hackathons as ways to get some funding. I know that we heavily raised from friends and family and network, and Thanksgiving's going to be either really fun or really shitty. But I think there's other options than just traditional VCs. If you don't have the right feeling about that money, I would certainly say to be smart about it and not desperate about it. One thing that you mentioned is having a plan for revenues, which I think is also really, really important and solves the funding issue quite a bit. Let's shift to revenues a little bit. This is something that I think was kind of missed in the early Web3 games, right? Where like we can mint and we print a token and who cares about everything else, and that's where we make all this money. We build it out of thin air. And then we're like, oh, we actually have to start thinking about revenues. And we saw this from NFT projects, games, just about anything in Web3 early on has now shifted to real utility, real value, real revenue models. Where are you guys generating revenues? How can we? Let's talk about revenues really quickly. Does anybody have revenue numbers that you want to share with your games? And then let's talk about how we're generating revenues or thinking about revenues in the future. Do you guys have revenues to date?
Yeah. So we went to the space straight from knowing that we wanted to generate revenue and with a strategy about it. So now we've been validating that in alpha with our revenue system. So remember, our revenue comes from three places. From players getting into an arena for crypto. So the way it works is kind of like a poker room. So you go into a poker room, you put some money down, the house takes 10%, and then the rest gets distributed into players. So when you go into the races, you put your money down, your crypto down, we take 10%, and that's one way. The second way that we generate revenues is through we call it fan betting. We create a platform from the community and from anybody. They can go watch racing, and then they can bet on racers. We take 5%, and the other 5% we give it to the winner. That's the second one. And the third one is NFT, like digital assets. So that's what we do. That's how we generate revenue. And the way we're doing it is we've been testing that on stages. Remember, like, when you're doing your game, just make sure that you have that strategy. You validate certain things first. So we wanted to validate the racing first, then the betting, then the digital assets. And we're generating right now about, like, I can tell you from a player, remember, we're incentivized beta. It's kind of closed beta. So this is obviously just, I want to be transparent with the numbers that we have right now. We're generating about $4 per user, which is, when you consider it back to like mobile gaming, it's actually really good. So it's possible, and it's pretty cool because you can do it all through crypto. So back to just one last thing, back to what you were saying. Hey, there's other ways to raise money. It doesn't have to be just VCs. So that could be like, with the caution that everybody here in the panel has said, just make sure that you could potentially raise money through your token launch if you have a good plan. And those are other ways through NFTs. And I know the market is down, et cetera, but there are ways to raise money outside of that as well. And just make sure that you have your revenue very clear on how you're going to make money so that you have a solid plan. And you could start generating those and show the numbers as you grow. And if at one point you need to raise more money, you can validate, hey, we have a solid business model here. Look at the numbers. We want more. And so, in the future, we can talk about like the stages on which a game goes from traditional, seed, pre-seed, seed, and how that can work in crypto. But we can talk about that in a little bit.
Cool.
We did just under $200,000 in revenue last month on about 4,000 daily active users. So the ARPDAU is insane. Players can breed, they pay to breed. We've got a full shop. They pay for a bunch of fun things in-app that help them play better, play more strategically. And they can buy NFTs in the game. They can buy our token in the game through in-app purchases. So revenue for us and profitability is the most important thing, because if I can make money off of each user, then I can scale to millions of daily active users and ultimately infinitely, so long as that user acquisition engine keeps roaring and that I make more money from a user than I pay to acquire that user.
I would like to say NFT merch. Games should be, as I said, no tokens, no nothing. Keep it all about love, right? All about tell a story, throw your feelings in, and then on the side, right? There needs to be a shop where you can buy 3D merch. So maybe there are some items that occurred during the story, right? In the story mode, there were some items that you maybe like, and it costs, let's say, 0.1 sol, whatever, as merch. You buy it, you put it in your 3-land room, or whatever else metaverse you like, right? You just place it in your room, and now you've become cultured. When a person comes and says, oh, that's a nice thing, what is it? Oh, it comes from a game, there's this like a whole story, you can go and try it out yourself. So I want to disassociate making money from the game, because that just leads to a whole lot of problems, and I just want to, as I said, I want to get money from different sources, just like TikTok. Content creators on TikTok, they don't get paid for making TikToks. Well, some do, right? But they do it to capture eyeballs. And when the eyeballs are captured, they say, hey, I'm selling this hand cream. Look at me, I'm so happy with this hand cream or whatever, right? So they're just capturing attention. I think the same way with games, we need to get people's attention, right? They play through for free. They feel, oh, I feel so relaxed, so good. I needed to have some moment of fun and peace, right? Hey, maybe I'll buy something from them to support, or maybe to do whatever. So I'm thinking NFT merge, guys. Jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah, I would agree on both, I would say. I believe it's really vital to have in-game revenue as well, though, because you have to get some kind of money to kind of have the team and compensate them as well. But like in the long term, kind of having the vision to kind of make your game brand so much that people love to have your 3D avatars or the game characters or so on to buy them as a merch, or like toys or the plushes. I do believe Pudgy Penguins are doing an amazing job like selling the toys like the way they are, kind of having and licensing their NFTs. That's a great job. We're also planning to go with somewhat the same way with alpacas as well, because we think that the visuals give us that chance as well. But however, like having the in-game revenues is really important to kind of have your game operating day to day, because you cannot really, since day one, make your toys so popular that they just like, you have everything, like everyone buying them and you're just getting the development fee all every month. However, it's really important as well. So currently in game, we have like a bunch of different revenue streams as well. Like as you mentioned, we have the new racing game coming as well, and we have the fee on that. We have the like marketplace. Having a bunch of different tools in-house is really important, because we can generate the money from that. So currently we have an NFT marketplace in the game. We get the money from that. We have NFTs, the royalties, we get the money. We have the transactions, like market building, where you can swap the tokens. We get the money from that. We have bunch of different forging, fusion, bunch of different utilities that actually helps us to get the revenue from that. And even though the user activity in the volume especially is not as high as it used to be, we're still getting the revenue and we are still profitable to operate. So that's something that we're focusing and doubling down in 2024 to make the game not just kind of self-sustainable, but pretty profitable. To make investors even interested in from equity perspective as well, not just the token to speculate, but the equity as well, and just become really big brand that is not just in the Web3 gaming, but actually in the gaming as well. So that's the plan for us.
Cool, some really good stuff there, and I just kind of jotted down some notes to hopefully recap some of what we just heard, because I think thinking about revenue for games is one of the most important things that any game publisher, developer needs to build. We talked about in-game commissions and fees, which I think Web3 really opens up a lot of what you're talking about that just couldn't exist necessarily in Web2, where people are essentially risking their own crypto, and we're pulling a small. DraftKings has done this really well in like a Web2 world, but there's not really many other games that have done this, and I think it's a massive source of potential opportunity and revenue that Web3 opens up. You talked about kind of some of the token or marketplace exchange type, fees that we can take that doesn't again exist in Web2, and then a ton of really Web2 revenue models that we talked about here: in-game consumables and cosmetics and characters and utility and all these things that Web2 games have built fortunes on. We can start to implement and build into our game in really responsible ways. And then IP, of course, you guys kind of talked about with merch and whatever else we can build with IP, which I think is really, really important for games. So we've talked a little bit about launching tokens and NFTs. We've talked about raising potentially money to get games live. We've now got a game live. We've got revenue sources in the game. The last thing that we need is players. Let's talk a little bit about just kind of user acquisition and game growth strategies. We've mentioned a little bit that kind of these early events that we have, like NFT mint and token sales, bring our initial community, which is incredible. And when we talk about like what our ARPDAU is now, our average revenue per daily active user for Honeyland or for Mixmob, it's a little bit skewed because these are the people who minted, they love us, they know our name, they show up to these events. And the next 10 or 20 or 30,000 people that we're bringing in are not those exact same power users that we have, right? And so how do we go get the next 10, 20, 30,000, the next 100,000 or million? How do we bring them into our games? And how do we make them fall in love with our projects and become very profitable players coming into the ecosystem? What are the user growth strategies that you guys are implementing right now?
Yeah, so from our side, one thing that I wanted to say is when the audience that we have right now, so I come from, remember, I was building games, this was 15 years ago, one of the first Facebook games at the time, Facebook games. And this was, all my friends from console, they were like, what are you doing? And I was like, this is the future. Like, it's social, it's easy to play, we don't have time, and it's super viral. And they're like, oh man, these little games. But what was happening at the time is it was a ecosystem was being born, and a new category of gaming was social gaming was being born. And what's happening right now, and so remember, Facebook games at the time, and even mobile games at the time, they weren't like, oh, we're gonna go console and Facebook. No, they were just building in that category, taking the players from that space. And my recommendation, the way we're doing it at Mixmob, is we're doubling down on Web3 users. We're not going into like, hey, we need more Web2. No, they will come, but they will come if you have a great game with a solid core user. And there's enough, based on our numbers and what we've seen in the space, there's enough of a core user inside of the Web3 gaming space that sustain those numbers. So we're doubling down on Web3 users for the next year or so. We're building for them. We're not going Web 2.5 or Web. If they will come once we have those users, once we are really happy with the game. And so the strategy for us is hyper-targeted towards Web3 players. We're giving them what they want. They like tournaments. They like crypto. They like making money. So we're giving them that in the form of how we can, which is with our token, which is with a fun game, a competitive game that you can play for 3 minutes, put it on your pocket, go, come back, 3 minutes, compete, get some crypto. That's what we're building, and that's our target audience. So yes, back to your answer. How are we acquiring?
I could follow up on that really quickly. Where
Sure.
are you finding these users? So I understand why they would play Mixed
Totally.
Mob. Where are you finding them?
Perfect. So that's the best follow-up to that. So we have Web3 native browsers that exist, Brave, for example. So these people that are on Brave has like 100 million monthly active people going into Brave that are crypto natives, or that are crypto savvy. So we're getting them from Brave, we're getting them from all these other communities that we have built from the ground floor, right? So we have NFT partners that we've partnered up with, that we've been building with them forever. So we cross-pollinate from all these communities. They are Web3 natives by default. So we do that through Brave, through our communities, through our partners, and all of this is working really well for us.
Are you spending money with Brave, or they're organically finding you just through web search?
No, we do paid ads through Brave. And so that's something really important for all of you to also realize. What's your engine of growth? Is it paid or is it viral? And what we're finding right now is that paid is really good for us.
Cool.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I would like to say that the biggest problem is people outside of our bubble hate us. When we go to see, if I go to whatever game convention, I mention that I'm doing NFTs. Whoa. You know, they're just kind of very against it without even like saying what the hell I'm doing. So I think that to get those people in, we need to be evangelists. We need to get out there. We need to get hated. And we need to change their mind in some way. So some people need to stay inside in the Web3 zone and make as I said, the big brain stuff, right? With a bunch of technologies, on-chain trading, whatever, right? And some people need to be the evangelists who go in and give little experiences to Web2 people with optional login with a wallet, just with a little incentive that if you have been logged in, you could have gotten something, right? So I think that that's the thing is to, like there's no other way about it without changing people's minds. Because currently we're just kind of saying, oh yeah, Web3 gaming is so cool, but we cannot speak about it elsewhere. We're just getting hated. So the most important thing is to change what people think. And to do that, we need to make, as I said, good games with a lot of love. Because
And again, I'm going to go back to, we just got a couple minutes. So where are we finding users? That's what I want to know. As a game, where do I get my next 10,000?
Yeah, so I would say the same like itch.io, game sites where people can play like Web2 game, iframed web games, right? Something that doesn't require a wallet whatsoever. So we need to go where the people hang. We need to go to, we don't need to display our games here in Breakpoints. We need to go to Polish game convention, play games. That's where we bring in the game, and we're the only NFT project, right? Who brings out some confetti, pew, have some jugglers juggling the balls, and people say, wow, this is cool. I don't know if there's NFTs or not, but this looks fun. So we have to work really hard to do it.
And we have an expert who is basically like the guy who knows that and grows. So basically, I would love to hear from you as well. I'm like Gross, so yeah, we would love to, because you guys are the most impressive team doing on Solana right now on the mobile, the numbers. So yeah, we'd love to learn as well on my side.
Sure. So I would say I'm going to go acquire the users the same place the biggest games in the world acquire them. And I can use any Web2 traditional ad network. I can use Facebook or Meta, YouTube ads, and any of the million mobile ad networks out there, Unity ads, anything else, so long as my game is fun, super simple and easy to onboard, and people don't even need to know that it has any Web3 components. And right now, any of your parents can download our game. They will click sign in with Google. It'll create them a wallet, and they will be playing and earning tokens without ever understanding that they have done anything with blockchain. And I think that's how we achieve the scale that we're going for, which is millions and millions of daily active users. It's finding them in the places where all the biggest games already are.
Awesome.
I mean, that's a really good point, just to add real quick, is even if you're, from our side, even if though we're hyper-targeting on Web3, because they also have higher spending habits, et cetera, the game has to be easy to onboard. Even Web3 people want easy access. They don't want to hook up the wallet and do all this. So just make it accessible. I think that's a great advice, too, just to add to
Web2 things work, so why not use that from Web2? Like, whatever works, let's use that. So advertising and onboarding with the Web2 experiences are great, so let's utilize them, but add the Web3 stuff on top of that as well.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you guys for sharing some incredible insights and spending a really fun hour together. And I want to thank all you guys for sticking around. It's Halloween. Let's go out. Let's have some fun tonight. And thank you guys very, very much. Appreciate it.